This is a story. Mark was a great sniper. The US government spent millions of dollars on his training and missions. Today was Mark's last mission. He and his partner Donnie were moving forward to rescue their team from terrorists and take them safely out of the desert. After a long search, they finally found their team. But a dangerous enemy truck full of heavy weapons was rushing toward them. Donnie quickly calculated the speed, distance, and humidity. Mark took aim. Without wasting time, he fired and blew the enemy truck into the air. Their team escaped safely. But soon, Donnie saw many enemies coming after them. Mark acted fast. He shot the gunner with his first bullet. The driver was hit with the second bullet. The enemy vehicles stopped. The enemies did not know where the sniper was hiding. So they started firing mortar shells at the hill where Mark and Donnie were hiding. Bullets and shells were passing very close. Donnie called for help from the headquarters. But the commander broke the connection on purpose and ran away. Mark and Donnie were left to die. Soon, a helicopter full of weapons arrived and started firing non-stop with its machine gun. Both of them fought helplessly. Their location got exposed because of the heavy firing. Donnie was shot. Mark saw his best friend and brother die in front of him. He got very angry. He picked up his heavy Barrett rifle and aimed at the pilot, who was shooting again and again. The pilot turned the helicopter toward Mark. Mark saw the chance and shot the pilot with one bullet. The helicopter lost control and crashed into the mountain. Mark survived. A few days later, the same commander who betrayed them was killed by an unknown sniper. Mark left his job. He went to live a free life in a forest with his dog Bruce. But the peace did not last long. One day, some men in suits came to his door. Their leader was Colonel Isaac. He gave Mark the highest award of the country, the Congressional Medal of Honor. Then he offered a new mission to protect the president. Isaac said that secret information showed a dangerous sniper planning to shoot the president from 300 to 200 meters away. They needed someone like Mark to find where the enemy might hide. Mark refused at first. But Isaac spoke about duty and country, and Mark finally agreed. As Isaac left, Mark wrote down the engine number of his car, which helped him later. To test the plan, Mark aimed at a small box from 2,500 meters away on a hill and hit it. It proved that the attack was possible. But Mark did not trust them. He removed an important part of his rifle, the firing pin, which later became useful. He left Bruce with a friend and flew to Washington. He rented a house there. Using his experience, he studied places in Washington, Baltimore, and Philadelphia. In the end, it became clear that the shot could only be fired from Philadelphia. The streets in Baltimore were too narrow. The wind was also a problem. In Washington, the buildings were too close together with no open space. Mark thought that if he was the killer, he would choose Philadelphia, where 6 possible locations existed. From this spot, the president's stage could be seen clearly. If the president stood there for 5 or 6 seconds, he could be hit by a large bullet. Isaac heard this and praised Mark. He offered him the role of a spotter. Mark happily agreed. As expected, the speeches in Washington and Baltimore went smoothly. Mark and Isaac then went to Philadelphia for the last event. Based on Mark's advice, Isaac placed snipers in all the possible danger spots. But then something strange happened. Isaac brought an old police officer named Timms to a secret place. Timms looked tired and his gun holster was loose. The speech was about to begin, so Mark ignored it. Mark didn't know that the enemy sniper in the church tower was using the numbers he had shared. When the wind, humidity, and temperature matched perfectly, Mark got suspicious. But it was too late. Suddenly everything went wrong. Timms shot Mark from behind. Mark fell through a window and landed on a roof. If you're watching this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. But Timms kept shooting. Mark ran while injured. This was all Isaac's plan. They were being used again. The police started chasing Mark and called him a killer. Mark met a new FBI agent named Nick. Mark pretended to surrender. When Nick got close, Mark hit him and took his car. He was bleeding but driving fast. Police were everywhere. Then Mark crashed into a truck coming from the front. All roads were blocked. Mark took a risk. He put the car in reverse and jumped into the river while bullets were flying all around. The police searched for 30 minutes. They thought he drowned. But Mark escaped on a sand boat. His wound was infected. He had to move fast. Mark stole a worker's pickup truck and drove away in front of the police. That night he reached a supermarket. His news was already on TV. He broke the power box to make it dark. Then he took salt and sugar syringes from the counter. In the bathroom he mixed salt and sugar in water. He used a lighter to clean the tools and treated his wound. He injected the liquid into himself and started feeling stronger. This is a story. Mark put on worker clothes to hide his identity. He drove all night and reached Donnie's girlfriend Susan's house. Susan recognized him at the door. She was scared at first but let him in. Mark stayed in her house. Susan had never met him before. But every year she got flowers and gifts, so she trusted the sender. He bought different medicines for Mark. His wound began to heal. Meanwhile, injured Nick started having doubts during the investigation. He thought if the area was sealed in 12 minutes, then how did the ballistic report come in just 10 minutes? The wind was calm that day and Mark was a top sniper who never missed. So how did he shoot the Ethiopian archbishop who was 70 yards away instead of the president? Nick tried to talk to Timms, but someone said he killed himself out of fear. Nick secretly researched. He found that apart from the FBI-controlled spots, a perfect shot could be taken from the church tower too. He went there. On the floor he found 3 new marks. He measured the distance and checked online. It matched a special U.S. military remote sniper rifle. Nick understood the truth. Thanks to Susan's care, Mark recovered. He knew time was short. He didn't want to put Susan in danger and also wanted to prove his innocence. He saw Nick on TV and made a plan. Mark sent Susan in disguise to Nick with a photo of Isaac's car. Susan left quickly. Mark watched her from a distance. When she got into a safe vehicle, Mark appeared in front of the FBI. One agent tried to pull out his gun. Mark threw iced Americano in his face. Then he used him as a shield to block an attack from a police dog. They rolled down the stairs together. When another agent tried to shoot, Mark fought him. He punched him many times and knocked him down. Mark picked up the walkie-talkie, put on a hoodie and disappeared in the crowd. Now it was Nick's turn to act. If he checked the car legally, Isaac would get suspicious. The attack location was also linked to the spot in the photo. Isaac would think Nick and Mark were working together. The next day Nick was kidnapped in a van. He was beaten and a fake suicide scene was being prepared. At the last moment, Mark came from behind and shot the attackers, saving Nick's life. Nick advised they should follow the law. Mark said the law is only for regular people, not for powerful men like Isaac. Nick was safe now. The target was clear. They went to a specialist to find the real shooter. The expert said that only 2 people could hit a target from 3,000 meters away, Mark and a former soldier who was wounded in the war. Mark remembered Isaac's disabled advisor from the meeting. He realized he was the killer. Nick got his location with the help of an FBI friend. They prepared a plan. They bought chemicals and pipes from a supermarket. Mark made remote bombs and napalm bombs. They reached the advisor's house. Nick stayed outside as lookout. Mark went inside and planted the bombs. Guards were patrolling, but Mark silently killed them. When he entered the room, the advisor didn't panic. He confessed everything. Isaac was the handler behind the whole operation. 2 years ago he had ordered the killing of 4 villagers over a business issue. That was the same mission where Mark was tricked just to hide the massacre. The archbishop was going to expose it, so he was killed too. Suddenly, dozens of armed killers surrounded the house. The advisor shot himself. He was also a soldier once. Mark stepped outside. Enemies were at the door. He quickly shot one of them, took another's gun and killed him too. Nick came to help, but the enemy forces were too many. Mark told Nick to trigger the explosion. Mark ran out with an automatic rifle. Some enemies were still alive. Nick set off the napalm blast. Everyone was burned. Then a gunship helicopter arrived. It started firing. Both Mark and Nick hid. Nick made himself a target to distract the helicopter. Mark aimed at a fuel tank far away. He fired. The tank exploded. The helicopter crashed. They rushed to save Susan. Mark contacted Isaac. He offered the recording from the advisor in exchange for Susan. Isaac agreed. The meeting point was a snowy mountain in Montana. Senator Lobb was the mediator. Mark took a sniper position on a distant hill. A shot was fired. Lobb fell. Isaac had already placed his own snipers. Isaac was happy. But suddenly one of his snipers got a headshot. Mark appeared. Isaac panicked. But as the figure came closer, Isaac realized it was Nick. Nick was wearing a steel plate and faking his injury so Mark could find the real killer. Mark shot the second sniper. A third sniper spotted Mark. But sunlight reflected from Mark's scope. Mark fired and killed him. All of Isaac's men were dead. Only Susan was left as a hostage. Mark carefully aimed and saved her. Mark reached her. He never planned to hurt Susan. He only wanted proof. But Susan became angry. He picked up a gun and emptied the whole magazine into the enemy. The FBI arrived. Along with a helicopter. Mark and Nick poured gasoline on the recording and burned it. Because if it leaked, it would threaten national security. Destroying it was the only option. Isaac escaped in a helicopter. Mark was taken into FBI custody. Nick helped him get a fair trial. During the hearing, Nick gave Mark a gun during a handshake. Mark admitted in front of the Attorney General that the gun was his. Then he loaded a bullet into the chamber and aimed at Isaac. Isaac was terrified. But the gun did not fire. Mark said he always removes the firing pin. The gun looks normal but doesn't work. This also proved he didn't kill the Archbishop. Then Nick showed proof in court of the massacre Isaac ordered in Africa. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.